Hi students, once again welcome to the world of English. Dear students, in our previous session we have done with the introduction to the Unit 1 Humor and we have completed part 1 from reading A, that is the snake and the mirror. Now let's have a recap of what we have done in our previous session. The short story was written by a famous Malayalam fiction writer, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. Most of his writings became very popular. In this short story, he wanted to say about the experience of a homeopath doctor. The story was narrated by the doctor himself. A homeopath doctor lived in a small rented room. He had a simple way of life. He could see the movement of rats in his room. On a hot summer night, about 10 o'clock, he entered the room after a meal at the restaurant and heard a noise from the above. His room was not electrified, and so he lit a kerosene lamp. He sat in a chair near the table and took the book Materia Medica. When he looked into the mirror, he took the comb and started combing. He was a bachelor and a young doctor, so he wanted to be more smart and handsome. He heard the noise again, but did not pay much attention. After lighting a bidi, he started to think about his marriage. He wanted to marry a lady doctor who had plenty of money and she would be a fat lady. Okay, now the reason behind that, to get married to a fat lady is if he makes any silly mistakes, she wouldn't be or she should not be able to run after him. Okay, so this is a recap of what we have done in our previous session. Okay, now let's continue. There were no more sounds from above. Suddenly there came a dull thud as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Surely nothing to worry about. Even so, I thought I would turn around and take a look. When his thoughts were like that, he heard a dull thud as if a rubber tube had fallen on the ground. Now, what is meant by thud? The meaning of thud is a dull sound made when a heavy object falls. Okay, so his mind was completely engaged in thinking of his marriage and about his would be. He heard again the noise. This time the noise was like a dull thud. Okay, now thud is, you already know, when a heavy object falls, the noise that is made by the heavy object that falls to the ground. Okay, he thought to himself, there is nothing to worry, but still he thought he would go around and look. Okay, no sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turning were simultaneous. I didn't jump, I didn't tremble, I didn't cry out. So, dear students, when the doctor turned, then a fat snake wriggled over the back of his chair. The snake moved, okay, turning and twisting, and finally it landed on the shoulder of the doctor. So, where is the snake now? The snake is found on the shoulder of the doctor. The snake's landing on his shoulder and doctor's turning towards the snake were simultaneous. At the same time, they faced each other. Both of them were looking at each other, snake and the doctor. Okay, the doctor was in a great, confusion and fear that he did not jump, he did not tremble, and he did not cry out. There was no time to do any such thing. The snake slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. The hood was spread out, and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. So, dear students, what do you understand by the words, there was no time to do any such thing? What does it refer to, any such thing? It refers there was no time for the doctor to tremble or to jump or to cry out. Okay, fine. The snake slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. You can just look at the picture and see how the snake had coiled around the arm of the doctor. Okay, and the hood was spread out. Now, what does it mean, hood? Hood is an expanded part on the head of a snake. Okay, it is an expanded part of the head of the snake. Okay, and it was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. Okay, there was only some 3 or 4 inches space between doctor's head and the hood. Do you understand? It would not be correct to say merely that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to stone, but my mind was very active. The door opened into darkness. The room was surrounded by darkness. The doctor was not just merely holding his breath, but he says he was turned to stone. The meaning of turned to stone is, not like becoming a statue which is made out of stone, but to become completely still or not moving. Okay, but his mind was very active. His room was dark, and even outside the room was also there was complete darkness. Have you understood? In the light of the lamp, I sat there like a stone image in the flesh. I felt then the great presence of the Creator of this world and this universe. God was there. So, students, where is the doctor? The doctor is sitting on the chair in front of the mirror, and there is a lamp placed on the table. Now, where is the snake? The snake is coiled around his arm. Okay, and the doctor or the narrator sits like a stone image in the flesh. Okay, now I already said he turned to stone. Now, what does it mean, turn to stone? To become completely still. It is not that he is becoming a statue which is made out of stone. Okay, he remains completely still. Okay, and he feels the presence of the Creator, and he believes that God is there. Okay, suppose I said something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." There was some pain in my left arm. It was as if a thick leaden rod, no, a rod made of molten fire, was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. So, dear students, we can imagine the condition of the doctor. Yeah, he could he could not tremble, he could not move, he could not scream, or he could not cry out. Okay, he was in such a situation. He could do everything in his only imagination. Okay, and there was so much of pain in his left arm. Why was there pain in his left arm? Because his left arm was coiled with the snake. Okay, and it was as if a thick leaden rod, no, a rod made of molten fire. Now, what is meant by molten fire? The meaning of molten fire is it is heated with a very high temperature. Okay, so his hand was wrapped with a molten fire like. Okay, it was very, very powerfully, it was crushing his hand. Okay. The arm was beginning to be drained of all strength. What could I do? At my slightest movement, the snake would strike me. Death lurked 4 inches away. Suppose it struck, what was the medicine I had to take? So, dear students, the doctor had no more strength to hold on the snake in his arm. Okay, it coiled around his left arm, right? He was unable to hold it because he was not having strength. His strength was draining, his strength was decreasing. And if he were to move his hand or make a slightest movement, the snake would sting him. Okay, the snake would sting him. Okay, the death was just 4 inches away from him, and all these thoughts were going on in his mind. In case if the snake bites him or stings him, what medicine he had to take. There were no medicines in the room. I was but a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. As the doctor thinks if the snake bites him, what medicine he had to take, he thinks about it. But actually, he does not have any medicines in the room. He was a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. He says to himself, he was foolish, poor, and stupid doctor. One thing is that he just started his medical practice, so he was not that rich. That's the reason we find him living in a rented room. Okay, so he just forgets about his danger and he smiles feebly at himself. Okay, so he says, it seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head. Okay, so what God appreciated? He appreciated his poverty. Okay, not having medicine. Okay, so God appreciated that, and as a result, what happened? The snake turned itself towards the mirror and saw its reflection. Do you understand? I did not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into a mirror, but it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? So the doctor confirms that the snake was looking into the mirror and he says, was it admiring its beauty? Or is it making any important decision? The decisions that the doctor was making, like, growing a thin mustache to look more handsome, to have an attractive smile, and to get married to a fat lady. Okay, so he says, was a snake making an important decision about itself, like growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? Now, what is meant by vermilion spot? It's uh, it's a bright red in color. Okay, spots that are bright red in color. Do you understand? See, the narrator, when he looked into the mirror, he was making some important decisions, right? The same thing he says, maybe the snake was also making some important decisions. I did not know anything for certain. What sex was a snake? Was it male or female? I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slithered into my lap. From there, it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. So the doctor did not know the sex of the snake, whether it was male or female, and he says he will never know because it coiled around his left arm. And slowly, what happened to the snake? It slowly slithered, moved into his lap, and from there it went onto the table. Okay, and then it stood in front of the mirror. Okay, the narrator says maybe perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection by being closer to the mirror. I was no more mere cut in granite. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. I quietly went out through the door into the veranda. From there, I leapt into the yard and ran for all I was worth. So, dear students, where is the snake now? The snake slowly slithered from the hand of the doctor into his lap, and finally it crept onto the table. So, the snake is on the table in front of the mirror. Okay, so the narrative says probably the snake wanted to enjoy its reflection. Okay, now let's see. I was no mere image cut in granite. Now, what does it mean? He was no more a statue. So, he was no more a statue. Okay, suddenly he becomes a man of flesh and blood. So, as soon as the snake moves its attention to the mirror and moves away from him, so what does he do? He slowly, quietly gets out of the chair and runs into the veranda. From there, he runs to the yard. Okay, as fast as he could, he runs. Okay. Phew! Each of us heaved a sigh of relief. All of us lit biddies. Somebody asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? No, the doctor said. God willed otherwise. My life companion is a thin, reedy person with the gift of a sprinter. So, dear students, please understand the doctor is narrating his experience of encountering the snake. Okay, so once he completes his narration, okay, everybody show a sigh of relief. Okay, they say, thank God nothing has happened, and they were happy that he escaped from the snake. So, all of them lit a biddies, and one of them asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? Okay, but the doctor says no, God will otherwise. Now, what does it mean? God willed otherwise. Actually, doctor wanted to marry a girl who is very fat, who has lot of money, with a valid reason. He says he wanted to marry a fat girl because if he makes any silly mistakes, she wouldn't be able to run or run after him or to catch him. Okay, but God will otherwise. He got a life partner who is very thin, probably with unpleasant look, and with the gift of a sprinter. Okay, sprinter is a fast runner. Got it? Someone else asked, Doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you? The doctor replied, I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house. Immediately, I smeared oil all over myself and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. So another friend asked him when he ran or when he was running if the snake had followed him. The doctor says that he ran and ran till he reached a friend's house. Immediately reaching his friend's house, he smeared. Okay, he poured oil all over his body and took a bath and he changed his clothes. The next morning at about 8:30, I took my friend and one or two others to my room to move my things from there, but we found we had little to carry. Some thief had removed most of my things. The room had been cleaned out. I believe you have understood, right? The next day morning, the doctor, along with his friends, went to the room to get back his things. Okay, he found hardly few things to carry because the thief had crept into the room and removed most of his things. It was like a cleaned room. Okay, but not really. The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. What was that? I asked. The doctor said, my vest, the dirty one. The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. So, as he was narrating, one of his friends asks him, okay, and the doctor says the thief had left only one thing as an insult. What was that? The dirty vest. Okay, only the vest, except the vest, everything was stolen from his room. Okay, because since the vest was dirty, the thief did not steal it. So the doctor says the fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. The rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water. Did you see the snake the next day, doctor? The doctor laughed. I have never seen it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. So the doctor says, okay, since my vest was dirty, the thief did not steal it. Okay, he had such a sense of cleanliness. But the doctor says, you'd have taken it even that. Okay, you'd have washed it and used it. And immediately one of his friend asks whether the doctor has seen the snake the next day. Okay, and the doctor says he had never seen it since. And he says maybe it was taken by its own beauty. So, dear students, this is the end of our lesson, The Snake and the Mirror. I believe you have understood. Now, let's move to the animation.
The Snake and the Mirror by Vaikom Muhammad Bashir. It is the story of a doctor who has just started his medical practice. He earns a meager income and lives in a small rented room, which is an outhouse with a tiled roof. The beam on which the gable is supported is full of rats, which keep moving in and out of the room. The room has no electricity supply. One summer night, the doctor takes his dinner at a restaurant and returns home. As the doctor opens the door of his room, he hears a noise from above. But he does not react because he is used to such noises. He lights the kerosene lamp, takes off his coat, shirt and vest, and opens the windows. He takes out a medical book from the table drawer to read. He keeps it on the table on which a lamp, a large mirror, and a small comb are placed. He opens the book and sits down. As he's sitting in a chair in front of the mirror, he looks at his image. He thinks that, as he is not married and is a doctor too, he should look handsome to get a better match for himself. He decides to shave daily, grow a thin mustache, and keep an attractive smile on his face. Gradually, his thoughts shift from self-admiration to planning for his marriage. He thinks that he would marry a rich doctor having a good practice. He would choose a fat lady as his wife so that she would not be able to run fast and catch him in case she chases him for doing some mistakes. He's so engrossed in daydreaming that he does not pay attention to the sudden silence. The rats have stopped scampering and there is a sound of something falling behind him. It happens so instantly that he does not get any time to react. By the time he turns around to see, a snake has wriggled over the back of the chair and lands on his shoulders. It coils around his left arm so firmly that his arm starts aching. It is a dangerous cobra with its hood spreading out, hardly 3 inches from his face. He sits there like a stone statue, afraid to move, lest the snake may bite him. He thinks of various medicines he has to take in case the snake bites him. In this moment of fear of death, he realizes that God has punished him for being too proud and arrogant. The moment he accepts his true worth, the snake turns his head and looks into the mirror. The doctor thinks that maybe the snake is attracted towards its own beauty. That is why it is looking so carefully in the mirror. Slowly, it crawls off his body and creeps onto the table and moves towards the mirror, as if to enjoy its reflection in the mirror closely. As soon as the snake gets down from him, he quietly gets up from the chair, leaps through the yard and runs away to his friend's house. The next day in the morning, the doctor along with his 2 friends goes to his room to bring out his belongings from there. The room has been cleaned out. Some thief had removed most of his things the previous night and left behind his dirty vest, maybe to insult him.